Child switching at the hospital. A hospital mistake alters two lives forever. On October 1, 2013, two children were born in the same hospital room under vastly different circumstances. One child had parents of Kin ethnicity and lived in a town, while the other had a mother from the Stiang ethnic group and resided deep within the forest. During a routine bathing session, a nurse inadvertently swapped the identification bracelets of the two newborns. This mistake had profound consequences, altering the destinies of Nak Yen and Lan An for nearly 4 years, and ultimately, for eternity. Lan An, the biological daughter of Vu Din Qian and Nguyen T Tu Trang, was raised by T Lin, while Nak Yen became the daughter of Qian and Trang. When Lan An turned 1, Qian began to notice discrepancies. The child, whom he had lovingly cared for every day, didn't resemble him or her mother and elder sister, Lan Fuang, their firstborn daughter. With her healthy complexion and curly hair, Lan An appeared more akin to the Stiang people than the Kin. After careful consideration and overcoming numerous obstacles, Qian suspected that their child might have been switched with another newborn from the Stiang mother who shared the same postnatal room. Thus began a journey into the forest, searching for any trace of the other child. Upon accidentally spotting a child bearing a striking resemblance to his daughter and granddaughter while accompanying Lin to the market, Qian grew suspicious. In the following days, Lin left the forest to join her husband in Bin Duong, where she worked as a laborer. Only when Lin was close to giving birth did she bring Lan An back to the forest for her grandmother to care for. It was the accidental discovery by Lan An's biological grandfather that sparked a family reunion and prompted everyone to rush to the forest to confirm the situation. At that time, Lan An and Nak Yen were 3.5 years old. Trang's family brought a photo of Lan Fuang to compare with Lan An, instigating doubts about the possibility of a child mix-up. The situation was chaotic, with many emotions running high, and the forest community was deeply involved. Fearing misunderstandings and under considerable emotional turmoil, Lin, who was also heavily pregnant at the time, was adamant about not allowing anyone to interact with or photograph Lan An. After numerous attempts at persuasion and intervention from both local authorities and the hospital, the two families finally agreed to undergo DNA testing. The results confirmed that the two children had indeed been switched, leading to a formal exchange of custody between the families. Despite the clarity of the results, both families were in turmoil and hesitant to return the children they had raised and cherished for almost 4 years. Trang feared the prospect of her daughter, Nak Yen, returning to the forest, uncertain of how she would be treated or cared for. On the other hand, Lin was reluctant to part with Lan An, worrying about how she would adjust to a new environment. The first night the children were returned to their biological families, both cried and struggled to adapt to their unfamiliar surroundings. Lan An, used to the tranquility of the forest with Lin, refused to eat or sleep, while Nak Yen repeatedly stood outside the forest house, clinging to a pole, yearning for her father Qian to come get her. To ease the transition, both families allowed the children to spend some weeks with their biological relatives before reuniting them and allowing them to meet their foster mothers. Tears flowed freely every time the children met, both from the adults and the little ones. As Lan An and Nak Yen grew up together, despite not being biologically related, they shared a harmonious existence under one roof, receiving double the love from both families. They had 2 homes to return to and were doubly cherished. Trang never differentiated between the children in terms of love or care, always ensuring that neither felt neglected. Meanwhile, Lin continued to nurture her bond with Nak Yen while doting on Lan An just as she had since the day she held her close to her chest for the first time. Thus, Lin's biological child became the shared sibling of the whole family. The fateful exchange that occurred 10 years ago fortunately did not permanently separate the children from their biological parents, thanks to the unwavering determination and efforts of Qian and Trang. In the end, Qian and Trang felt they had gained a little more, as in addition to their biological daughters, they now had Nak Yen living with them as well.